check this out for a slick way to squeeze your joists up. See that? Ratchet strap, hook the top, hook the bottom. Pretty neat. So Red Poppy Ranch reached out in the comments and asked me to do a React review of their three-year house build on a homestead that they're doing in Idaho. Heath and Cedar, congratulations. And you got 6 kids. I salute you for that. You will die happy because you have those 6 kids. Well done. But Heath has a lot to say about the fact in his time lapse that it took him 3 years because he really didn't know much and it was on-the-job training. So I'm going to go through this. You guys asked me to do this. I'm going to be as honest as I can, but right off the bat I am inclined to just want to stand up and cheer because the intestinal fortitude that it takes to build a house when you're not a house builder is considerable. To build it on a remote site is more considerable. To build it with your family right there helping you is next level, and then to film it, to make a YouTube series out of building a house, let me tell you as someone who knows, is double hard. I wish you guys were my neighbors, and I hope that those of you who have not yet discovered Red Poppy Ranch will check them out and subscribe and give them an attaboy and an attagirl for the courage they've got in doing what they're doing. Let's roll. All right, so I think I'm understanding that their property was rough, just property, covered with some sort of scrub trees.
Our land now looks like this.
Whoa, look at the transformation. What did he use? Bulldog oak retaining walls? Not easy. Excavator for the win, buddy.
This all started after myself and my wife bought a 42-acre piece of land that had been for sale for quite some time.
Okay, and so there's a road, I guess, going up the hill to maybe just utility. Maybe that's a house pad. Is that the house pad? A lot of clearing.
It was heavily treed with invasive maple trees that had not been thinned or maintained.
Western broadleaf maple is a blight. Boom. Ha ha, yeah. Diesel's a little safer, buddy. Nice tractor.
While these trees were invasive, we didn't want to remove all of them. But we did want to remove enough to have a usable piece of land.
Tractors, yes. Getting rid of the maple. Burn it. A little slower fire. Get a weed burner attachment on a propane bottle, man. That'll keep the hair on your chin.
After hand drawing the plans for a fairly simple house, we got our permit to build and the work began.
Okay. Nice job. Watch how he does this. Anybody can draw a house.
Initially, the house was going to be right around 1,600 square feet.
Those are elevations. Nice.
And one great room downstairs.
Heath, you had more experience than you're letting on.
Here's what I'm going to show you. That right there.
Okay, you got to have a target. You got to know. Look at that.
We are good.
Plans checked for compliance.
Initially, the plan was to subcontract out the things we weren't comfortable doing.
Smart.
Do the things we were comfortable doing.
Yes.
Try to save money in between, and wrap it up in a 30-year mortgage.
Septic system.
Because our land is 2.6 miles from the nearest power line,
2.6.
Nobody wanted to finance the project.
All right, let me just point out that they tailgated that. The truck can reach across and pour it good enough. A truck can usually reach about 16 feet from the front axle to the end of the chute, which will get you a long ways. Looks good on the formwork. Well kicked off. All right, so here's the thing. He mentioned that he was at 2.5 miles from power, so nobody wanted to land, and you can't blame them. And so it's something to think about, particularly if you're going to develop an undeveloped piece of property. You got to make sure that your utilities are covered, that you can get power if you want it, if you're not going, off grid. You got to have water, you got to be able to deal with your septic. And if you got to borrow money, you've got to make sure that somebody will lend, because it is really hard to get started into a project and then run out of money and then find somebody to step in and lend. So apparently Heath and Cedar did it right and got their money figured out before they actually broke ground. A lot of people get badly hurt by doing it the other way. Let's see, got the slab down, looks good, boys. Got equipment, got space to work. It's showtime.
This caused us to do some serious reflection and reevaluate just in fact what we could and couldn't do.
All right, that excavator is like having 4 men on the job. That's awesome. Straps, smart. braces were good enough, apparently. Okay, he's building up his own headers. 2x12s, 2x6 on the bottom, and filling it with insulation, I assume, burning the midnight oil.
I have 15 years in the plumbing trade, but above and beyond that, I had 0 other construction experience.
Okay, let's hold that. He was a plumber, and he knew he could do it. That's awesome. So now we're back to the floor choice, where the plumber uses a ratchet strap to suck them together. Why not? Okay, now here is a helper.
Good help has been hard to find.
It's always hard to find, Heath. Okay, there's the move we talked about. Pretty good. So next time, Heath, cut those blocks just a little short. They don't have to be 14 and a half. They can be 14 and, a weak 7/16, so you don't have to fight it to keep them on layout. If you cut them 14 and a half, it gains. It gains. And since you're nailing substrate to the top, gluing and screwing, probably, all they're doing is keeping those joists from rolling around. They're working together, but that's smart. Ratchet straps.
We started with the septic system, got a little bit of help from a few friends to pour the foundation.
Yes.
Then from that point on, basically did everything ourselves.
Wow. Okay, stairs. Plumber cut stairs. Looks good. I'm not sure if that bottom stringer is going to fit nice on the floor. It might.
Up to this point, I had very little framing experience.
Lots of mid-span blocks. I'm impressed that a plumber would put so many blocks in his own way. Good job, Heath.
I had framed up maybe a shed and a little bit of interior work and a remodel, but that was it.
Everybody lifts the wall. Gable ends are heavy. Oh, did you see that? The man's not afraid to take a chance. Did you see that? I've got to back up for this. Everybody's lifting the wall. And look at that. Got to get to the ground. Got the backhoe. Got the boom up. The loader's up. Nothing's stopping me. Nice.
I did what I knew how to do. I talked to the right people when I didn't know what to do.
Wisdom. He did what he knew how to do, and he talked to the right people when he didn't know what to do. Nothing can stop him. Danger, do not stand on or above this step. Scaffold plank. Get
I
the
looked
snow
for
off.
discounts where I could get them. Paid cash as we went.
Collar ties. Okay. Very legit. How are you keeping them to grade? You must have just snapped lines. I like to nail a 2x4 to the bottom of those rafters so you can just drop each end of the collar tie on there and you know it's in the right spot. Time saver, you know it's straight. So he's putting up collar ties. He didn't put in a ceiling joist, which would have been down at the height of the top plate on the wall because the walls are short here. So the collar tie acts as a ceiling joist to keep the walls and the rafters from sagging and spreading. So it turns it into sort of a little truss, and it defines where the ceiling's going to go. Got that? Collar tie? And he's probably setting it to a chalk line that he snapped or something because they've got to be nice and flat or you'll see the roll, the deviation in the sheetrock. What I like to do is to shoot a 2x4 temporary or a 1x4 all the way down on the bottom side of those rafters at the line on both sides, so you can just throw the collar tie up on both sides, it falls into position, and you nail it or screw it or bolt it, however you're making the connection. But you get the line in first so you're not having to fight that on each end. Nice.
Conventionally framed the entire house.
Yes, where's your vent blocks, man? Where's your vent blocks? I don't know.
Virtually everything myself.
Solo stack, 2 stories up. That is all work.
Along the way, we battled every kind of weather you can.
Okay, so he's putting a full dimension board, tongue and groove, I assume, at the overhang because it looks so good. And look at the way he detailed the rafter tails sticking out there. That's not a corbel. What do you call that? It looks like kind of a Roman ogee shape. A lot of work. I assume you did that with a jigsaw, unless you rigged up a bandsaw and had a big workspace, but probably a jigsaw. And his roof sheeting dies at the center line of his eave blocks. That's good. I'm still worried about your ventilation, but I really like the detail, man.
Think of.
Yeah, look at that. It's beautiful. Alpine.
Along the
drip edge.
way, I've lost a few things, mainly a few pounds.
All right, he's got a safety line, that's good. Synthetic underlayment, that's good, I learned that. He's taking care and cutting his Tyvek.
When the cost to build an average home in the area is north of $150 a square foot,
yes,
we've managed to keep our costs around $16 a square foot.
16? Wow. Okay, yep, look at him counter flash that. All right, a tongue and groove, looks like a pine, maybe shiplap.
After getting the lower portion of the land thinned and cleared, and as we began to understand just in fact
okay,
the
now
beauty
just a
that we
second.
had,
I would have liked to have seen a drip edge over the top of those windows. Heath? Maybe you did, and I just didn't see it.
we felt that the rustic
Look, that's smart. See that? You see that brace on that? Let's back that up just a second. That was pretty slick. All right, so we're putting the siding on. Now watch this.
Just in fact, the beauty
right there. See that? That's smart. Threw a stake in the ground. That was almost, no, it wasn't optional. Got a board leaning up to hold that end. You can put another man out of work with a nail, or in this case, a board.
we had.
That's smart.
We felt that the rustic duck fir siding would be perfect up here.
That was smart. All right. Listen, Heath, you got to pay attention. If there's no drip edge on the top of that window, you got to pay attention to make sure that siding's not deteriorating. All right, got a vertical board, switching styles, going vertical, yay. All right, man, there's got to be Z-metal. Surely you got Z-metal between the horizontal and the vertical. If not, you got to retrofit.
My trusty sidekick Ruger has never let me down regardless of the conditions.
Ruger, yeah. Muddy prints, except it's cold. Nice board and bat up on the top story, looks
because
nice.
The bank told
It's a good look.
us no, it forced me to figure out ways to save money, which ultimately meant that I was going to do everything, from the septic system, to the gas line, to the electrical, to the roofing, to the siding, to the solar system.
All of it.
Everything that will be necessary to give us the 21st century comforts that we're looking for.
All right, does anybody see Z-metal? Or I guess the top, the board and bat is overhanging the horizontal siding. Springtime's coming. Coat came off. There's a thaw, yeah, must be overhanging.
I had never done anything significant with electrical.
Okay, so he's not an electrician, neither am I.
But I had a couple of good friends that were willing to talk me through it as I had questions.
Okay, now that is cool. I mean, he's doing electrical. Obviously, he's savvy. He can make stuff happen. And he had a couple of good friends that were willing to talk him through it. That's fantastic. In some areas, anybody who does electrical work in a residential structure has to be, appropriately licensed and card carrying. Now, usually you can get around that with an owner-builder permit, like Heath is. If you have someone that can give you the really reliable information on electrical, then you take it and you do it, and the inspection happens. And hopefully, if the inspector makes sure you're doing it to code, you move forward and you never look over your shoulder. But electrical is one area where, you better be darn sure that what you know and don't know is known, and what your friends know and don't know is known, and that you're not installing something that when you're standing back looking at a smoldering pile of ashes, you don't think, wow, maybe I should have used, XYZ electrical. So of all of the trades, in my opinion, the one that is most burdened with life safety issues is electrical. Now Keith's got this figured out. He's got it wired, per se. But pay attention in your case, will you? Okay. Okay, cut a hole. Cut a hole for the chimney, triple wall, I assume, triple wall flue.
Heat is a wood-burning stove.
Yeah, wood burning. That flashing is important, that you get clearance from anything combustible. Even with a triple wall pipe, there has to be clearance. That big old roof flashing is going to make that happen. And typically, the top of your chimney has got to be at least 3 feet above anything within 10 feet of it. Now he's got that cleared. I mean, he looks like he's 3 or 4 feet above the peak of the roof, which is some distance away. But to make sure the prevailing winds don't create downdrafts and you get carbon monoxide getting back into your space, you got to be high enough that it draws. It's important.
In the last 3 years,
Plumbing,
we've owned,
man, that is his home base, home court advantage now.
we've had as much as 4 feet of snow.
Pecs for the wind. Look at him go. Now
We
that's
framed the house to handle well over 100-pound snow load.
100-pound snow load right on. So maybe I'm imagining this. Maybe I wouldn't have recognized it if I didn't know he was a plumber. But looking at it now, you can just tell this guy is a plumber. He knows the moves. And yes, it's time lapse, but I bet if it was in real time, he still would be making it happen.
As we got deeper
Protect the
into
tub, see that? You got to protect the tub even if you're a pro.
construction, we realized that we needed more room.
You need more room, 6 kids, man.
Our intentions are to keep everything associated with a solar system inside the house.
Okay. Everything associated with the solar system inside the
We've
house.
had more challenges along the way than I could have ever imagined.
Challenges indeed. Thousands of choices, every one of them fraught.
There have been moments where I wondered if this would ever come to an end.
Man. Okay, so if you're thinking about building a house, you and your wife, it's hard. It's hard building a house together, and you have to assume it's going to be at least 100 times harder than you think it is. You know, agreeing on choices, agreeing on allocation of funds, agreeing on who's going to help and who your subcontractor is and what the schedule should be and how do we manage with the lender and then we didn't pass that inspection. There are so many things. It's one of the hardest things you can do. And it's also, in theory at least, one of the low-hanging fruit aspects of changing your net worth. Often, with any good luck at all, building a house is going to give your net worth a jump. But it can go the other way too. I mean, financial catastrophes often happen with build it yourself.
There have been moments where I figured out why nobody had ever built a house up here in the first place. The end result is we're 3 years into this and the house is nearly finished.
3 years and the house is nearly finished. 3 years.
We have nearly a 2,000 square foot house that's very well built, that we love, that's paid for.
Okay, now that's another thing. It's relatively easy to talk a bank into lending you enough money to build the house of your dreams. And when you settle into that long-term mortgage, you realize, I can't afford this. Now, not many of us can build a house and own it outright when you move in. But you got to salute these people for the self-control that it takes to be able to do that. Look at this. That is used metal roofing. They want the farmhouse look. It goes beautifully with every other thing, and it didn't cost them much. Love the sun hat. And when you're in the woods, fireproof, fire resistance, a big deal. These people are thinking. Okay, roof vents,
We
lots of
poured
roof
another
vents.
400 square feet of concrete, which gave us a utility room for the water heater and everything associated with the solar system.
Okay,
as well as
halfway
another
through they
bedroom and
decided they
bathroom.
needed more room. Plumber can put any utility room as cheaply as anybody. You see how the form braces are staked to the ground outside the footprint? It's not kickers because they have a turned down edge. That ditch he's standing in is called a turned down edge. It becomes a footing that is integral with the slab itself. Good practice, a little tricky to form.
We've had just as many ups as we've had downs along the way, but we're in the home stretch.
Rebar. Barely enough rebar, Heath. Come on, spend a little more money on rebar.
We're moments away from moving in.
Making it happen. Okay, what am I looking at here? Other side of the house, they're coming out with...
While we have many
porch.
other projects, like a root cellar, like building my shop, like building a cabin on the back section of our property, we first can't wait to just move in.
Here's a payday. Got 4 of the kids, or that's his bride, I think. That's Cedar, and 3 of the kids. A moment of well-deserved Relaxation with Ruger. What's this? Water
I
storage?
then dug a shallow well, ran over 1,000 feet of water line to a water tank that's over 100 feet above the house.
Wow. So 100 feet is good pressure, gravity for flow. What happened to the excavator?
After hauling the water tank up the hill and getting it properly positioned, getting the solar well pumps in place, we have water.
Solar well pumps, they are off-grid. Man, look at that. I bet that feels good. So that hydrant, I've put some of those hydrants around my place, and Phil Rokas told me he hates them because when they go bad, they go bad. I've got to admit, I've had 2 of them go bad.
There's no question that hindsight's always 20/20.
Ruger's thirsty. Fences, using drill stem.
Knowing what I know now, if I could go back to the beginning and start over, I most definitely would have done things different.
Yeah. But that's all of us, right? If we could go back and do things over, we would most definitely do it different, but boards the play. More of those
I
corbelled
most
ends.
definitely would have avoided some of the mistakes I've made and some of the changes that we've had to embrace. But what's the point? If this was easy, everybody would be doing it.
If this was easy. Look at, did you see him walk that ladder across there? That's worth looking at.
Easy,
You see that? He's walking that ladder across while he's on it.
everybody would be doing it.
Okay, I would have put those into a ledger, I think, Heath. Maybe there is one behind that Tyvek. I don't know. Okay, now he's not using synthetic underlayment there, I don't think, is it? Maybe it's just black, different than the other stuff.
Sometimes it's hard to know what we're
Is that ice
capable
shield?
of until we're put in situations where we just have to get things done.
Maybe it is, I don't know. Just have to get things done.
I've made mistakes. I will make more mistakes,
Yeah.
I promise. But anything worth doing is going to be hard.
Something tells me we all ought to be watching this channel. Anything worth doing is going to be hard. That's worth paying attention to. Oh, there was the excavator. Good.
This is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yep. No probably about it.
Second only to being a husband and a father. It's definitely one of the most rewarding things.
Definitely one of the most rewarding. Man, it looks good, Heath. I assume that's some local cedar of some kind that you're putting on this house?
We've got a lot more projects to come, and I've got a lot more learning to do.
Okay, he's coming up with the wainscot on the outside with the same material. Don't trap any moisture back there.
My
Oh,
shop foundation walls have been waiting for me for 2 years. That's also on the short list.
That is not fun work.
The upstairs is nearly finished with drywall.
Okay, the drywall
I'm about
jack,
to
you see that?
transition to the downstairs
Right.
drywall. Then it's paint.
There. Those things, those drywall lifts, I almost don't care what it costs. You've got to have one of those if you're going to hang drywall by yourself. Now you can rent one, I don't know what they are, 50 or 60 bucks a day, but when you're hanging by yourself, it's going to take a while. You've got to have one.
Kitchen cabinets. Then we'll probably move in.
Yeah.
We've saved more money along the way than I ever could have imagined.
What's not been pointed out has to be pointed out. That Cedar, his wife, is solid to have been maintaining the household elsewhere, waiting to get in, probably in rough conditions, right? I mean, because they are focused enough on saving money, they're probably saving money there too. And so I salute you, Cedar, and all you kids, you all, man, Nobody does this by themselves.
We are nearly finished with our mortgage-free home, living in one of the most beautiful spots on the planet. As hard as this has been, we wouldn't change it for the world.
Wouldn't change it for the world. Wouldn't do it again, but wouldn't change it. Okay, he's pouring his own concrete now.
We have individual playlists of every phase of construction that we've gone through.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there. Because if you haven't realized that you're going to watch a lot more of these people, then you're not motivated by the same things that I am. I'm going to watch a lot more of this. Red Poppy Ranch, Heath and Cedar and gang, you got a new fan. I think they've got over 800 videos. That in and of itself is as much work as building this house. For those of you who haven't tried to make 800 videos and post them, it's a ton of work. And with those videos, just like building a house, you look back and you say, well, there's some things I would have done differently had I known. But that is the steady drumbeat of life, right? That we do the best we can with what we know right now. We gird up our loins, we scrape together whatever confidence we can scrape, we say our prayers, we get the advice, we enlist our friends, we extract from the emotional savings accounts that we have with our loved ones, and we try to remember to put some deposits back when the storm has passed. But in any case, of the time lapses that I've watched to this date, this is one of my favorites. Thanks, Red Poppy Ranch, and thank you for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.